back to the video classes. This is once again with you, MS Praveen Kumar, Assistant Professor of Political Science, Government Degree College, Hydernagar. As a part of e-content development, the topic that today we are going to discuss is about the emergency powers of the President of India. And in particular, we are going to discuss about the emergency out of war, external aggression or armed rebellion, which is called as the national emergency. Well, coming to the emergency powers of the President of India, this is the very important topic in the Indian Constitution. Why? Because this has led to number of controversies in India. So that we are going to discuss in this session. But first of all, we'll start with the basics. Coming to the President of India, it is part 18 of the Indian Constitution from article number 352 to article number 360 that explains about the President. Now this part of the Indian Constitution, that is part 18 of the Indian Constitution, it bestows two kinds of powers to the President of India. Number one is the ordinary powers and the second one is the emergency powers. Now in India, when everything is normal, then the powers which are exercised by the President, we call them as the ordinary powers. But sometimes what happens is when an emergency situation arises within the country, that is, what is an emergency situation is when an unforeseen situation or when an unexpected situation arises within the country, then to grapple with such kind of situation, the President is given certain emergency powers by the Constitution. Now coming to the emergency powers of the President of India, there are three kinds of emergency powers which are given to the President. Number one is the national emergency, which is explained in article number 352. The second one is the President's rule. This is explained in article number 356. And the third one is financial emergency, explained in article number 360. So in this way, the Constitution is giving two kinds of powers to the President. One is the ordinary powers and the second one is the emergency powers. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the first emergency power of the President, and that is the national emergency. Now if we have to make a brief comparative study, that is the emergency powers in Britain and also in America. Why? Because we emulated the British parliamentary system in India, and also on the other side we borrowed a few features of federal system and the judicial review from the American Constitution. So coming to the emergency powers in Britain and also in America, coming to Britain, in Britain, the British monarch is not given any emergency powers. Like we find in India, like the Indian President has the emergency powers, is given the emergency powers. But in Britain, the British monarch, who is the head of the state, the British monarch is not given any emergency powers. But rather, instead of emergency powers, there is one more power that is given to the British monarch, which is called as the royal prerogative. Now what is a royal prerogative is nothing but when the existing president or else when the existing law does not adequately apply to the circumstances in question. That is, when the law is silent or else when a situation arises and to tackle with the situation, the law is silent, then what happens is the British monarch is given one power which is called as the royal prerogative. That is, during these circumstances, the British monarch can override the decisions which are taken by the Council of Ministers. And now coming to America, in America, the President can declare a national emergency. But when a national emergency is declared, the Constitution of America does not expressly grant additional powers to the President of America. Like recently, concerning the novel coronavirus disease, COVID-19, the national emergency is declared in America by the President of America. So here in America, the Constitution provides for the imposition of national emergency, but the Constitution does not expressly grant any additional powers to the President of India. But coming to India, in India, when national emergency is imposed, what is happening? What is happening is the Indian Constitution is providing additional powers to the President of India that here today we are going to discuss. And now coming to the topic of discussion for today, that is the national emergency. So the national emergency is actually called as the emergency out of war, external aggression or armed rebellion. So this is explained in article number 352 of the Indian Constitution. So what article 352 it says is, it states that the president can proclaim emergency if he believes that a grave emergency exists whereby the security of India or any part of the territory thereof is threatened whether by war or external aggression or armed rebellion. So this article number 352, what it says is, when the president is satisfied that the security of India is threatened because of three circumstances, one is war or external aggression or armed rebellion, then the president can declare national emergency in India. Now, what the original constitution it says about, or it talks about the grounds of imposing national emergencies, it says that the national emergency can be imposed because of war, external aggression or internal disturbances. So these are the three grounds on which the national emergency can be imposed. This is what the original constitution has specified. But later what has happened was, we all know that in the year 1975, the national emergency was imposed on the grounds of internal disturbances. And when national emergency was imposed on the grounds of internal disturbances, what were the reasons cited by the then government? That is, during 1975, the then Prime Minister of India, Srimati Indira Gandhi, on her directive, the national emergency was imposed in India on the grounds of internal disturbances. And what were the reasons cited were the threat to national security and bad economic conditions. So because of this, what has happened was, because of the excesses which were taken place or which were taken up during the times of national emergency, in 1977, when the Janata government has come to power and Sri Morarji Desai, he became the Prime Minister of India, they made an amendment to the Indian Constitution, that is the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act in the year 1978, to bring about the changes in article number 352. So what is the change or what is the amendment that was brought about according to the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act was this word of internal disturbances, because this word is vague and which is prone to confusion and which is prone to misuse. So for that reason, the Janata government wants to do away with this word internal disturbances. So this 44th Constitutional Amendment Act in the year 1978, it has replaced this word of internal disturbances with another word, that is armed rebellion. So from then onwards, the grounds on which Article 352 can be imposed is, it is because of war or external aggression or armed rebellion. So on these grounds, the national emergency can be imposed in India. And now coming to how many times the national emergency was imposed in India, it was thrice, that is 3 times national emergency was imposed in India. Twice it was because of external aggression and once because of the internal disturbances. So the first time the national emergency was imposed because of war between India and China in the year 1962, that is on 26th of October 1962. Later, the second emergency was imposed because of war between India and Pakistan on 3rd of December 1971. And the third time the emergency was imposed because of internal disturbances on 25th of June 1975. So in this manner, thrice national emergency was imposed in India, and twice it was imposed because of external aggression and once because of internal disturbances. Now, coming to the first time when national emergency was imposed in India because of war between India and China. This was on 16th of October 1962. So, this emergency was imposed on the grounds of the external aggression. But the war between India and China has come to an end by 21st of November 1962. So, though the war has come to an end, the national emergency was not revoked, but it was put into continuation. And later, we had to face a war. India had to face a war with Pakistan in September 1965. And during this time, also the national emergency was not imposed. Why? Because the emergency which was imposed in 1962, it was in continuation. So this war between India and Pakistan has come to an end because of Tashkent Agreement on 10th of January 1966. Later, this national emergency which was imposed for the first time in the year 1962 was ultimately revoked on 10th of January 1968. Later, after a few years, again India had to face a war with Pakistan in the year 1971 because of Bangladesh issue. So during this time, the president has imposed the national emergency for the second time, that is on 3rd of December 1971. So this emergency also was imposed because of war or external aggression. And this war between India and Pakistan, this has come to an end by December 1962. But the emergency which was imposed because of this war, that emergency was put into continuation. Later, in the year 1975, we know the third time the national emergency was imposed. This was imposed on the grounds of the internal disturbances. That is, when the national emergency which was imposed for the second time in the year 1971, it was still in continuation. So during this time, again the government has imposed the national emergency on the grounds of internal disturbances on 25th of June 1975. And here we know why the national emergency was imposed in 1975 because of internal disturbances. Though the reasons which were cited by the then government, that is Srimati Indira Gandhi, she was then the Prime Minister of India. So for imposing the national emergency, that is only on the oral instructions of the Prime Minister, the then President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, he has declared imposed national emergency in India. The reasons which were cited to impose national emergency because of internal disturbances were the threat to national security, and the second one was the bad economic conditions. So these were the reasons cited to impose the national emergency in India. But here we know what was the main reason for imposing national emergency in 1975. Because in 1975, that is during 1975, the political situation in India was completely volatile. And during this time, it was the Allahabad High Court which has given a judgment disqualifying the election of Srimati Indira Gandhi on the grounds of corrupt practices. So this case was appealed again in the Supreme Court later. But still during this time, the Indira Gandhi government, it has imposed national emergency in India on the grounds of internal disturbances. This is the reason why it is said that Part 18 of the Indian Constitution is very controversial. Why it is very controversial here in reference to the national emergency, we can cite a couple of reasons. Like one is, when national emergency was imposed because of war between India and China in 1962, though the war has come to an end, and later when there was a war between India and Pakistan, and though the war has come to an end, the national emergency was not revoked and it was still put into continuation. And during this time, we know the government has misused the authority and they trampled upon the fundamental rights of the people. And later, coming to even the national emergency because of internal disturbances. So it was for the political interest of the ruling political party, the national emergency was imposed in India, and because of which we know the democratic system of India was completely damaged, and not only that, the fundamental rights of the people which were sanctioned by the Indian constitution were completely trampled by the government. So for that reason, it is said that the part 18 of the Indian constitution is the most controversial part of the Indian constitution. So during the times of the national emergency, we find the extreme abuse of power in India. So to curtail the fundamental rights of the people and also to trample the influence of the opposition political parties, the government in power has resorted to pass number of preventive detention laws. Like here we can take the example of a couple of preventive detention laws, like one is MISA, that is the Maintenance of Internal Security Act of 1971. So this act was passed on the grounds to counter foreign inspired sabotage, terrorism, subterfuge and threats to the national security. So though this Internal Security Act was passed in 1971 to suppress terrorism and also sabotage and the threats to national security, actually this law was used to curtail the influence or else to curb the influence of the opposition political parties in India. And one more act, if we can take for instance here, that is COFEPOSA. The abbreviation of this is the Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act, which was passed in 1974. So these are the two very important preventive detention laws which were passed by the then government to curtail the liberties of the people and to curtail the influence of the opposition political parties. So though the emergency situation has come to an end and though the war between India and other countries has come to an end, still the government was bent upon continuing this act of MISA. But of course, in 1977, when Janata government has come to power, they have discontinued with this act of MISA, but another act, that is COFEPOSA, it is still in continuation. Now here we understood that the national emergency was imposed thrice in India, that is it was imposed 3 times in India. Now here we are going to discuss, if national emergency has to be imposed, then what is the procedure that has to be adopted? How the national emergency will be approved? So the procedure that is adopted according to the Constitution of India is, the national emergency has to be approved by both the houses of the parliament. So according to the original constitution, the proclamation of national emergency has approved by both the houses of parliament within 2 months after the issue of the proclamation. So from the date of issue of proclamation, within 2 months, the parliament has to approve the proclamation of national emergency. But later, by 44th amendment in the year 1978, so this period of approval of 2 months, it is brought down to 1 month. So from 1978 onwards, the proclamation of national emergency has to be approved by both the houses of parliament within 1 month from the date of issue of the proclamation. So when the second thing is, when the proclamation is issued by the president, the proclamation of national emergency is issued by the president, during that time, if the Lok Sabha is not in session or if the Lok Sabha is dissolved, then this proclamation has to be approved by Rajya Sabha. And later, when Lok Sabha is reconstituted, then this proclamation of national emergency has to be approved by Lok Sabha within 30 days from the first sitting. That is, here we understood that when national emergency, the proclamation of national emergency is passed, and during that time the Lok Sabha is not in session, then the proclamation will be approved by Rajya Sabha. Later, when Lok Sabha is reconstituted, after that Lok Sabha has to approve the national emergency within 30 days from its first sitting. Now coming to the duration of national emergency. So, national emergency, once it is imposed and it is approved by both the houses of the parliament, the national emergency can be extended indefinitely, provided that the national emergency has to be approved by both the houses of parliament every 6 months. That is, every 6 months, if both the houses of parliament they approve the national emergency, then the national emergency will continue to the next 6 months. So in this manner, every 6 months, if the parliament it approves the national emergency, then the national emergency will continue indefinitely till the time it is revoked by the president. So now, because of the excesses which were resorted by the government when national emergency was imposed, later when Janata government has come to power, so they want to rectify the excesses which were resorted by the government during national emergency. With this intention, the Janata government has come out with the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act in the year 1978. Now, according to this act, what are the changes which were brought about in the Indian Constitution was, the national emergency now can be imposed by the president only on the written advice of the Union Cabinet. So here we remember that in 1975, when national emergency was imposed on the grounds of internal disturbances, the national emergency was imposed only on the oral advice of the Prime Minister. It's not by the Cabinet or by the Council of Ministers, it was only by the oral advice of the Prime Minister to the President. So this, the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act wants to rectify. So for that reason, it states that the national emergency can be proclaimed on the written advice of the Union Cabinet and not the Prime Minister. So this is perhaps the first time the word cabinet is used in the Indian Constitution. So while discussing about the Council of Ministers, we discussed, though the cabinet plays a very powerful role in Indian political system, the word cabinet is not mentioned in the Indian Constitution. So this is the first time, that is by 44th Amendment regarding Article number 352, the word cabinet is used in the Indian Constitution. Now one more change which was brought about by 44th Amendment was the proclamation of national emergency. According to the original Indian Constitution, that proclamation was supposed to be passed by both the houses of parliament within 2 months from the date of issue of the proclamation. So this 2 months is a very long time. So for that reason, what the 44th Constitutional Amendment, what the change they have brought about is, now the proclamation of national emergency has to be approved by the parliament, by both the houses of parliament within 1 month of the issue of the proclamation. And not only that, this has to be, that is the proclamation has to be approved by both the houses of parliament by 2/3 majority of the members present and voting, plus the absolute majority in both the houses of parliament. So this is the change which was brought about by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act in 1978. Now here we will discuss about the effects of national emergency. That is, when national emergency is imposed in India, what are the effects that we find, or what are the changes that we find in Indian political system, especially on the federal structure of India and also on the fundamental rights. We know basically under normal circumstances, India is a federal state. So we know what is a federation. A federation is something where both the central and the state governments exist, and the powers are divided between the center and the states according to the constitution. So under normal circumstances, India is a federal state. But when national emergency is imposed, what happens is, India, it completely transforms from a federal state to a unitary state. That is, all the powers will come into the hands of the central government. It doesn't mean that the state governments will be suspended or state legislative assemblies will be suspended. So it's not necessary that the state governments have to be suspended all the time. But what happens is, all the powers now will come into the hands of the central government. So why this facility is provided by the Indian Constitution is because when India is facing an emergency situation, like it could be a war or external aggression, then what is needed is, during that situation, to tackle that particular situation, the central government needs to be very strong. So for that reason, all the powers have to come into the hands of the central government. The second reason is, if there is any opposition from any of the states towards the decisions which are taken by the central government, then what happens is, the central government cannot become very strong. The central government cannot tackle this antagonistic situation with some of the states. So for that reason, during national emergency, what happens is, all the powers shall come into the hands of the central government. Now coming to the tenure of Lok Sabha. Normally the tenure of Lok Sabha is 5 years. So sometimes before the completion of 5 years, Lok Sabha can be dissolved anytime on the advice of the Prime Minister. So normally when the Prime Minister loses the majority in Lok Sabha, then he may advise the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha. And at the same time, the tenure of Lok Sabha can be extended for 1 year. That is, when national emergency is imposed. So when national emergency is imposed, the tenure of Lok Sabha can be extended for 1 year. And this extension of 1 year can be renewed any number of times by the Parliament. That is, if it is approved by the Parliament, this renewal can be extended, but it cannot be extended beyond a period of 6 months after emergency has ceased to operate. That is, after the emergency has been revocated, the extension of Lok Sabha will cease within a period of 6 months. And not only the tenure of Lok Sabha, when national emergency is imposed, even the tenure of the state legislative assemblies also can be extended for 1 year. Now coming to the effects of national emergency on the fundamental rights which are sanctioned by the Indian Constitution. So this is explained in article number 358 and article number 359. So article number 358, what it states is, as soon as the proclamation of national emergency is made, all of the 6 fundamental rights under article 19 are automatically suspended and no separate order is required. So according to this article, when national emergency is imposed, then without any separate order, automatically all the fundamental rights will be suspended. But the original constitution is also mentioning one thing, that is the right to life and personal liberty, which are mentioned in article number 20 and 29. So these fundamental rights cannot be suspended. But when national emergency, we observe the experience of national emergencies imposed in India 3 times, what we find is most of the time the fundamental rights of the people were trampled by the government, even including article number 20 and article number 21. So for that reason, in 1977, in 1978, in 1977 when Janata government has come to power, in 1978 they have come out with an amendment, that is the 44th Amendment Act of 1978. According to this, they have made certain amendments regarding the protection of fundamental rights. So what this amendment it says is, when national emergency is imposed, Article number 19, that is the fundamental rights which are mentioned in Article number 19, shall be suspended only when the national emergency is imposed on the grounds of war or external aggression. So what it implies is, if national emergency is imposed on the grounds of armed rebellion, then the fundamental rights in Article number 19 cannot be suspended by the governments. And the second thing is, normally the laws which are made by the government during the emergency, so they cannot be questioned in the court of law. But according to this 44th Amendment Act, what is the change that was brought about is, only those laws which are related to emergency, they are protected from being questioned in the court of law. But those laws which are not related to emergency, those laws can be questioned in the court of law. So these, here we discussed about the effects of national emergency. That is, when national emergency is imposed, then what are the changes that we find in the political system in India? And simultaneously we also observe the abuse of power in India, and also how the provisions of Indian Constitution have been misused in India, and how the fundamental rights of the people have been suppressed. So for that reason, after emergency, that is during post-emergency period, the governments have come out with certain constitutional amendments to provide the constitutional safeguards against the national emergency power, the emergency powers of the president. So in this particularly we have to discuss about the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act which was brought about in the year 1978. Now according to this amendment, in Article number 74, a new provision is added, new clause is added, that is Article number 74(1). So according to this Article number 74(1) provision, what it says is, the President may require the Council of Ministers to reconsider any advice tendered to him. So if we look at the background of this particular clause, so what the original constitution in Article number 74, what it says is, there shall be a Union Council of Ministers with the Prime Minister as the head to aid and advise the President. So there will be the Council of Ministers with Prime Minister as the head to advise the President. But the original constitution does not specify whether the advice tendered by the Council of Ministers is binding upon the President or not. For that reason, in the year 1976, the Indira Gandhi government came out with the constitutional amendment, that is the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, and according to this amendment, it was made binding upon the President to follow the advice which was given by the Council of Ministers. So according to that amendment, whatever the advice that was given by the Council of Ministers, now it has become binding upon the President to follow that particular advice. Then later, in the year 1977, when Janata government has come to power, they want to bring about certain rectifications, or else they want to make certain corrections which were made according to which were made according to the 42nd Amendment Act. With that intention, they came out with one more amendment, that is the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act in the year 1978. So according to this act, they have introduced a new clause in Article number 74. So that is Article number 74(1). Now according to this act, what it says is, now whatever the advice which is given by the Council of Ministers to the President, if the President is not satisfied with the advice tendered by the Council of Ministers, the President can ask the Council of Ministers to reconsider the advice. So for once the President can ask the Council of Ministers to reconsider, but the second time when the Council of Ministers, they send the advice to the President, or else we can say it is binding upon the President to follow the advice given by the Council of Ministers. So according to this amendment, this word, that is binding, which was introduced according to the 42nd Amendment Act, this provision of binding, this is not removed by 44th Amendment Act. So it is binding upon the President to follow the advice of Council of Ministers. But what is added is, for the first time, the President can ask the Council of Ministers to reconsider the advice. And one more, the constitutional safeguard which was brought about during the post-emergency period was in Article number 226. So Article 226 was amended to restore the power of the High Courts to issue writs on matters other than the protection of fundamental rights. Now one more change which is brought about by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act is, now according to this act, the proclamation of national emergency shall be approved by both the Houses of Parliament within 1 month from the date of issue of the proclamation. So here we know that the original constitution, what it says is, the proclamation of national emergency shall be approved by both the Houses of Parliament within 2 months. But according to the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, so this period has been brought down to 1 month. And the next change brought about according to this amendment to bring about the constitutional safeguards is, the national emergency will be imposed by the President only on the written advice of the Cabinet. So the national emergency shall not be imposed on the oral advice of the Prime Minister or the Council of Ministers. So from now onwards, the national emergency shall be imposed only on the written advice by the Cabinet. And now coming to the fundamental rights. The original constitution in article number 358, what it says is, when the national emergency is imposed, then all the fundamental rights, the 6 fundamental rights which are mentioned in article number 19 shall be automatically suspended. So regarding this, the constitutional safeguard which is provided according to 78th Constitutional Amendment Act is, now the fundamental rights which are enumerated in article number 19 shall be suspended automatically only when the national emergency is imposed on the grounds of war or external aggression. So if at all the national emergency is imposed on the grounds of armed rebellion, then the fundamental rights mentioned in article number 19 will not be suspended. So regarding the fundamental rights, these are the amendments which were brought about by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. Well, students, in this class we discussed about the national emergency powers of the President of India. So regarding national emergency, we discussed on what grounds the national emergency is imposed and how many times the national emergency was imposed in India, then what are the effects of national emergency, and also we have seen what are the constitutional safeguards that were brought about against the imposition of national emergency in India. So here we observed that this part of the Indian Constitution, that is part 18, that explains about the emergency powers of the President, is the most controversial part of the Indian Constitution. And we also have seen how this article number 352 that led to number of controversies in India, and how this article has been misused in Indian political system. And not only article 352, even article number 356 that explains about the President's rule is the most controversial article in Indian Constitution. And sometimes we find some of the constitutional experts talking about the removal of article number 356 from the Indian Constitution. So here what we observe is the experience of national emergencies in India right from 1962. We find many a times the attempts have been made by the governments to misuse the provisions of the constitution in their favor, or else to trample with the fundamental rights, or else to curb the influence of the opposition political parties. But at the same time, we find the Indian political system, Indian democracy is so strong that India was able to withstand such kind of emergency situations, and we were able to protect our own democracy by bringing about, or else by building up different numbers of the constitutional safeguards to prevent such kind of political or the power abuse in the future. So this is about the emergency powers of the president. So specifically, particularly we discussed about the national emergency, and in the next class we are going to discuss about the president's rule and also the financial emergency. Till then, have a nice time.